Good afternoon po. My name is Mendoza Sky Gray from STEM 11 in Laguna campus, and we're going to talk about the effective communication. So, introduction. Communication implies in our lives through using our mouth and includes individuals us conversing to each other, being direct conversation. Speeches like me, presentation, also me, and discussion are all forms of oral communication process consisting of sound representation which involves speaking and listening. Same with interaction between individuals, which use of words speaking like staff meetings, business meetings, and other face-to-face meetings. But now, I think is for the personal discussion and presentation. Process of oral communication about a process that involves a message, right? And emotion of a person by triggers a response. Me and my mom, for the whole example of each applicable scenario, basically significant stages compile of different varieties. So, in stage 1, start with the presence of stimulus about my idea, a remark, or a news or a situation for us. That the sender, my mom, caught my attention and the send of speaking me categorized as the sender. For example, reflection or insight as a part of person interest, and this may also be part of person's memory or experience. And here in stage 2, more on mentally affecting the brain, wherein the brain receives the idea through the participation of thin nerve fibers working as a diarrhea agents. Then recognize it by the speaker me, experience, environment, and may trigger me to react. Stage 3, composed of ideas and thoughts, but in stage 4, at this point, the speaker, my mom, is now ready to externalize, express her thoughts or feelings in words or actions. His thoughts to the listener, me, must be focused on the directions of the listener, also me. The stage number 5 to transmit the message speech in logically arranged sequence using sound waves. Sound waves means to produce in the air and muscles of the speech. And lastly, the stage number 6 introduces the movements. So we use these elements of communication as my mom and me in our lives. My mom is the person who sends these ideas to another person like me. Receiver is the person who receives the message from whom the message is meant for my mom. So, first, the sender, my mom, is the first to start conversation, obviously, and the listener is the receiver around early in the morning. In our daily lives, we could be the sender or receiver. The message is the most important element because containing the all ideas, emotion, and experience shared by my mom may be a verbal or non-verbal. Well, verbal is a using words and non-verbal is a gestures like this. And then we need to be careful choose of words and don't abstract ideas in by presenting something. And feedback same as channel the route of travel by the message between the sender to the receiver, and it determine on us, my mom and me, and observe both sender and receiver if the message is understood or not, or we could be so like a interaction between us. And to have the best feedback is oral response as to avoid misinterpretation. The noise we experience have a two types of noise, like physical or psychological. So, in a continuation of elements of communication which are verbal and non-verbal, we strike this in our lives. So most of the time is supported by non-verbal to better portray the meaning as speaker. Example of this is the Hybels and Weaver in 1986 who wrote the following about nonverbal communication. So there's different types of nonverbal communication like body movement, and body movement have five categories. Like embels is like the movements have a direct translation into words like thumbs up means okay. And then the second one is illustrators to like emphasizing that my mom is pointing at me like to follow her orders. And regulators is sign of showing control. My mom may point to me to follow some signal to. And display of feelings by the help of my face and body movements rely on how intense my emotion is. And adapters is we use this to adapting and implied meanings that my mom would like to mean. For example, being so helpful to anyone. This is what adaptive means to mean the idea want to convey to others. And paralanguage or ways of saying something and pitch and tone and volume like you sing. And the body types is like if you are handsome or beautiful, like if you go outside and then you saw some beautiful outside, and you can talk about that. And body adornment like jewelry, clothing, hairstyle, and space and distance. And here we have the difference let of each type of people if we know them or not. And then the touch is reflects the relationship between my mom and I on how we interact to each other. And times, it has a two kinds of people based on my time, the punctual and late. For example, me, I'm late in class, so therefore I I, I have a reason to say, or speak it out loud, which the message I want to convey. Consider that if I'm not interested, or I don't respect the teacher. So teachers, thank you, bro.